He's Athan Hristodulu. You guys know him. He's always recapping Raw with us. Now on Netflix. It's always fun talking to you, Ath. Welcome back on the chat, man.
Oh, pleasure to be back on and talk some more wrestling with you guys today.
What do you think of week 2? What do you think of week 2, man?
So this is probably going to be a hot take based off of what I saw from a lot of the people on socials, but a little bit slower. I don't want to call it a dud, just not as eventful as I would have liked the follow-up to be, but I understand not wanting to, there's going to be peaks and valleys with this. So a little bit of a slower show, but there were some good things I took out of it.
Yeah.
Was this a Sorry, George. Was this a Netflix thing, Athan? You think, or just a slow time and wrestling?
So there were some weird things, and this is how wrestling shows work. You'll have like peaks and valleys because you have to set things up further down the road. Yep. So this felt more like a setup show than anything else. Whereas last week was kind of like a culminate, peak type deal.
The way I like to look at it, it's like kind of Game of Thrones, right? You're gonna debut season 5. You got people riding dragons, stuff going on fire, Arya turning blind, and then episode 2. You got to set some stuff up.
Exactly.
And if anyone's mad, I just put out a spoiler. The show's been out for 27 years, so shut up.
I didn't watch it anyways, and I still followed you.
Hey, man, I want to start with the Penta debut because I grew up a diehard Rey Mysterio fan. This guy has been wrestling since 2004.
Wow.
Known as the second best luchador ever, behind the great Mysterio. Rey loved seeing his debut. What did you think of Penta, a.k.a. Pentagon Jr.? What do you think of Penta finally making his debut on WWE after his contract with AEW has been up?
I thought it was good, and this is where some of the diehard internet wrestling fans might hate me here, but I am a through and through WWE guy, so I don't explore too much outside the big brand, but I do at least know of him. I've seen some of his work before, but I thought it was good. It was a great way to introduce him to the fans, and I thought he and Chad Gable was a good opponent, and it made a lot of sense. Chad Gable, one of the just best wrestlers as far as the craft goes in my eyes, and I think a lot of people would agree with that when it comes to just purely the wrestling standpoint of things. He can work with everybody, so it was a good match. The Mexican driver, unbelievable. I know we were all looking at that surrounding a computer earlier today. I thought that was a fantastic move. I wish we could show video of that kind of stuff because that was the big up for me on that match there, but really impressed with what he can do, and I'm excited to see how WWE utilizes him.
I think it's a big week for luchadors overall. We saw that viral clip of like some police officer in China taking a guy down 619, and now we got Penta making the debut. Oh yeah. I mean, that Mexican Destroyer, that's a move you watch. Destroyer or Driver? Do we know?
I believe it's called the Mexican Destroyer. Did I say Driver? I might have said Driver.
Hey, it
is a modified pile driver.
Yeah, whatever you
want
to call it, I do not care. It was absolutely filthy. He does that. He also pulled off the sacrifice on Chad Gables too. What I loved about him, just like Mysterio, the crazy luchador mask, got some extra makeup. The overall, what he's rocking. I mean, this guy, it's all about the performance. Him making his appearance, he got fire from the walk-in.
Yep.
It's the pops, it's the juice, it's the excitement, and what you want to those viral clips. Like, he seems to have it all, Ath.
Oh, absolutely. He's definitely somebody that it's going to take specific booking to make work, especially with his style, trying to mesh it with, because WWE style and luchador style wrestling are two very different things. So it's something that WWE needs to be smart about who they pair him with and how they work him into stories and just the guys that they've put him up against. But I'm excited to just see where they go with him.
He's a bigger cat than Mysterio, too.
I
think
definitely.
that's more entertaining.
Yep.
All right. CM Punk, Seth Rollins. How far, take me down a rabbit hole here, how far can the WWE take this storyline, you think?
So from everything that I've gathered, there's legitimate beef between these two guys. I've seen Seth Rollins do some interviews. I've seen Punk do interviews. There's legitimate beef with how CM Punk split from WWE and just the shots he took at the brand overall from his time being gone to coming back. So there is real sentimental dislike between the two. Whether they've healed that, whatnot, and this is all for the show now going forward, I don't necessarily know, but there's a lot that you can still do with this, and part of it has to do with the Royal Rumble, and I can kind of use this as a bit of a segue for the Rumble as well, and the discussion there with who I think is going to win. But part of the Royal Rumble can either help them put this story away if they're done with it, or it can ignite it even further in the lead up to WrestleMania. So there is definitely plenty to be done here.
All right, man. I mean, we heard CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, all these guys declare for the Royal Rumble. What are you thinking about that overall? Set up.
So George likes Cena, Athan. You know that.
Listen, you know what? I have a big 3 in mind for who can realistically win the Royal Rumble this year. And where I stand right now, with I believe only it's like 7 or 8 people that have actually declared for the Rumble match itself, there's a big 3 that I think realistically have a chance to win, and it's CM Punk, It's Roman Reigns and it's John Cena.
All right, at least I'm in that top three.
Yeah,
I'm in that top three.
So Cena's in my top three. Now, out of those three guys, he is my number 3, only because there is the piece of me that, for the story that he is trying to write as this being his last year,
exactly.
I could see it being used as a way to catapult him into WrestleMania, to setting up a good match with Gunther.
Sure.
However, I don't think that's the route they go, and part of that has to do with WWE kind of showing their hand with the way they're planning the next few months, because they're heavily advertising him for Elimination Chamber. And if that's the case, if you guys haven't seen what an Elimination Chamber is, I'll take you back later. We'll take a look and you can see what I'm talking about here. 6-man match inside of a cage. It's pretty intense. I have a feeling that is the route they go, with him winning to get into Mania as like a last-ditch effort title match type of opportunity for him. So that's what I'm thinking for him. The other two that I'm stuck on is Punk and Reigns. And where you had asked me about Seth Rollins and CM Punk, Travis, I think this is where the WWE can keep that flame hot. And where if CM Punk's winning the Rumble, he's eliminating Seth last. So he's the second to last guy standing.
Sure.
But you're giving us down to the wire. I like it.
Oh, absolutely. Believe me, I've been stewing on this all day. And then if it's not CM Punk winning, Seth Rollins is eliminating him, who then ultimately gets him eliminated by, whoever else. Or maybe CM Punk gets eliminated, angrily gets Seth Rollins eliminated too, because we've seen that before. So it comes down to my number 1 in Roman Reigns. And the way I see it is, there's a lot of rumors with Rock potentially not making WrestleMania now. And if that is the possibility that we're looking at, it would make sense for Reigns to set up for a rematch with Cody. We get that match part 2. So I really like Roman as the guy, especially with his family issues and the bloodline stuff behind him as well. I think the next logical step is rematch with Cody if Rock's not going to be a part.
I actually have a question about Cody, but before we get there, I want to follow up. What are the rumors with The Rock not being at WrestleMania?
So Dave Meltzer, and he's a guy that I take his information with a grain of salt, did report a while ago that he was hearing that Rock might not be a part of Mania, and Rock himself went as far as to dismiss it himself on social media. But now it's starting to come out again that that's a possibility, and people are talking about it because of the way that Raw ended last week, with Rock putting the Ula Fala on Roman and kind of, it seemed like smoothing over his issues with Cody, that there's maybe a chance that none of this is going to happen. I could be completely off and I could be wrong, but there's just a lot of signs pointing to it. So in my head, I'm like, all right, well, if this is the way it's going, Roman winning is the logical solution there, with The Rock maybe just being a guy on the sideline in the lead up, if anything.
All right.
But we get a better setup turn if you think about it. Him and The Rock are good. Him and Cody Rhodes are good.
Right.
Roman Reigns fine, and then one of those two take him out. And the devil's advocate in me, Athan, when I think about this from the John Cena angle, everything's leading up for Reigns, right? And I understand everything you're laying out. But this is Cena's last ride. Cena eliminate Reigns in the end. Then Roman next year, 2026. That's where he gets his Royal Rumble win.
Yeah, I mean,
you with me?
Oh, absolutely. And that is the beauty of this pro wrestling entertainment we call the WWE. Anything is possible, and you can set up turns and twists in any which way, and you never really know where it's going to go. And things are always fluid when it comes to pro wrestling. But I mean, just for me, and selfishly, I want Punk to win. I want him to get the main event that he's been trying to get at WrestleMania for his entire career. A big piece of why, he ended up leaving the first time around.
Sure.
So I would love for him to selfishly get that win over Seth Rollins. If it's them two at the end, he's eliminating Seth. I also have the idea that if he eliminates Seth, there's further beef where Seth maybe finds his way into the championship match that Punk is being given for winning the Rumble, and turning it into a triple threat between whoever it is that Punk winds up challenging, if he's the one that ends up winning the Rumble.
By the way, Roman Reigns has won the Royal Rumble before, so it wouldn't be his first rodeo.
I'm just saying the big one, the comeback.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the WWE would do what they could to rewrite his first Rumble win, because it was not good. Reign of booze. It was heavily scripted.
Really?
Yeah, The Rock actually came out to try to raise his arm and give him the sign of approval that he's the next in line for the Samoan dynasty, and nothing but booze. That's wrestling lore we can get into some other time.
Next week.
Yeah, something that they would love to change if they could.
Wrestling fans will boo you quick. We learned that for sure.
Oh,
All right,
absolutely.
let me ask you this one. Now, Cody Rhodes has won the Royal Rumble twice. There won't be a third time because he's taking on Kevin Owens in the ladder match there. Who do you like in that one?
I mean, I definitely like Cody. Listen, I will say them bringing back the Winged Eagle belt, having Kevin Owens run around with it, and the fact that they're utilizing it as a piece for the ladder match that they have, I think is really exciting. It's one of those things where I didn't grow up with that championship, but it was a championship that I looked at as a kid and was like, wow, that's the historical piece of WWE that you didn't get to see, but you always see in the pictures and the clips and the highlights and things like that. So I love that it's finding a way to be incorporated into today's WWE product, but it's got to be Cody. Him losing, and this is me just being like the realistic, pull myself out of the fandom Athan here. Him losing at the Royal Rumble to Kevin Owens doesn't make any sense. I'm expecting it to be very entertaining, and I'm sure that they have some sort of either convoluted and or just entertaining way that the match will end that maybe sets some stuff up further for them down the road. But unfortunately, I think this one's cut and dry. It's Cody. I'd be shocked if it's not.
Last one I got, 2025, this upcoming Royal Rumble's in Indy. Next year is in Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
What better way to have the Royal Rumble in Saudi than with Roman Reigns winning it? I'm all in on Cena this year. I'm going to keep convincing myself how it's going to happen.
This is what he does with football, too, Athan. It drives me nuts.
Oh, believe me, I've seen it.
He wants to talk about the 2028 draft. I'm like, let's just focus.
Hey, you know what I'm setting up? Us three, trip to Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
I got some cousins over there. We got some translators. Don't worry. I'll take care of that all.
Okay.
And we got the chat live from Royal Rumble out in Saudi. We'll get to Indy, too. I know, Eighth, you want to go back to Lucas Oil Stadium.
I would
actually see some wins.
Is that in the budget? Can we get that? Can we just
find it?
All right, 2 weeks, guys. Get us to Indianapolis for the Rumble.
Facts.
He's Athan Hristodulu. Eighth, as always, appreciate you stopping by, man, talking some wrestling with us. It was another fun week. I'm George Balekji. He's Travis Thomas. He's Eighth, and this was Boston Has Entered the Chat. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. And if you're watching on Nessun's YouTube page, hit the subscribe button as well. Email us, thechat@nessun.com, or use the hashtag NessunChat if you want to join the conversation. GB, Double T, Big Eighth. We'll see you guys next time.